Hi there, Greg Godovitz here, and welcome to episode 3 of Rock Talk. Eddie Kramer really kicked things off for us on this series, and I want to thank him for that. But at the same time, I want to thank you, and you, and you, and that girl over there, and that guy over there, and that guy hiding behind the couch over there, and Reese Burnell, our technical producer, for hiding behind that couch over there. Tonight, we present a Canadian icon. You might remember him from his days with Rhinegold. I think he was the Spider-Man character in that band. And then he went on to tremendous success with his solo act, Gowan. Of course, the whole world loves him for his work with the American band Styx. And in fact, the music that we're hearing right now, which we're going to talk to him about later on, is from their new album, the new Styx album called Crash of the Crown. Now keep in mind, this is a guy who almost shook hands with Paul McCartney. He spent 7 months at Ringo Starr's house recording Strange Animal and didn't get the guy's autograph. But he has agreed to be on Rock Talk. So without further ado, from the bowels of Scarberia, here he is, my friend, Lawrence Gowan.
Man, have you read this? Honest to God. I want to start this by reading you an excerpt from this book by this guy, Greg Godovitz. It's an amazing, I just want to read you this.
Okay.
It's a question that Dave Marsden asked him. What's your greatest memory of the Knob? How many interviews start with that?
Well, coming from Marsden, I can see that. What did we say?
Here it comes. The Nob Hill Hotel in Scarborough was an infamous watering hole back in the late 60s and up until the 80s when they renamed it and turned it into a strip bar. It was the only club I ever played at where you could sell the place out, 600 capacity, get 3 encores, and someone would still try to punch you out when you were leaving. I once saw a guy use a comatose head of his buddy to pound on the table for an encore rather than the prerequisite stubby beer bottle or a jug. I also got punched in the face by a rather menacing-looking biker for simply asking the girl he'd been buying drinks for all night back to my place. Imagine that. I think that pretty much right there encapsulates the life of every musician that grew up in Southern Ontario anyway.
Well, you know, we're
probably
both...
the 60s, 70s, 80s, and maybe a bit of the 90s. Those decades for sure. Fantastic stuff, Greg.
Thanks, man. How many times did Rhinegold play the Nobby?
The Nobby only twice, funny enough. There's certain clubs we played, the Gasworks, multiple, maybe 50. I think I had 15 contracts from the Gasworks. The Gasworks, the Shamrock was a really popular one for us. The Knob was good, but we only played there 2 times. And I think I got a punch in the face both times.
It was part of the contract.
I think it was.
Walked off stage one night and some guy smacked me in the face. I mean, it was like, I think his girlfriend liked me or something, and he smashed me for that, you know?
You know, I guess you just had one of those faces back then. You know, I was going to say, all those clubs, and we've talked about this before, but all those clubs were like shrines. And now, I mean, in memory, they're like shrines. When you think of, oh my God, we're playing at the Nob Hill, back then you think that way. Now I think, oh my God, if we could only play the Nob Hill.
Yeah.
It's amazing how in memory they begin to shine brighter and brighter. And I recall from that era always going into the club where you had played there the week before. So I'd see the Gatto, your black and white Gatto picture of you with the legs astride in the air with the bass, glasses, round glasses, just your iconic look. We'd see that, and the bar manager would very often just drop the fact that you guys sold a hell of a lot of beer the week before, and we better not screw this up.
We also drank a lot of beer ourselves back in the day.
Was that the secret? Oh, we should have tried that.
Yes, it was a secret to our failure is what it was. You know, the first time I saw you play and met you was at the Gasworks, speaking of the Gasworks. And it was with Rhinegold, and it was during your superhero era. And for people that don't know about that, explain what that was all about.
Certainly. I wanted to write progressive type long pieces, and I had a piece called The Comic Strip Boogie, which ran through Spider-Man, Captain America, Superman, and then we used Bugs Moran because I loved him from the old black and white movies, etc. We used him as the bad guy, so that was 4 guys on stage. I thank God I've come so far from that comic book era in my life because I did write this book all about it.
Yeah,
you see that?
I can see that. Yeah, it's even signed.
That's my book. There's my book. Here's Greg Godovitz's book. So there.
Yeah, I'm a bigger.
Which story's more interesting?
I'm a bigger liar than you are. So
I don't know.
So was Jerry Mosby in the band in those days?
Yes, probably when you met us, Jerry would have been in. Jerry was in the band 77, 78. We had a 5-year run, and Jerry was in the band 77, 78. Probably the most Gasworks centric and Piccadilly Tube centric era of the band, although we played it with all formats. But yeah, and I remember the great thing from the stage there was you could see when someone came in that you knew, like I could see, if Kim Mitchell came in, you'd see him, right? When you came in, it's like, there he is. Carol Pope, there's oh my God, she just came, if they were playing in the Chimney, there she would be.
Yeah.
Suddenly the guys from Saga, I think of that. Amazing. And then, you look at Mike Levine from Triumph would be there so many nights that he wound up managing us for a little period of time.
That's wild.
So that's just how I love that from the stage. But there, not so much punching the Gasworks was I had a full-on beer bottle tossed one night, which was pretty horrible.
I wasn't there that night. I just want to point that out, okay? It had nothing to do with me.
Now that I think about it.
Do you know, we were playing at the Gasworks one night, and this famous, girl that liked the bands came in while I was playing and said, I got the guys from Cheap Trick out there. They won't let them in. So I said, we'll be right back. So I go, it's Rick and Robin come in. And I said, you guys want to sit in? And they looked at each other. It was like a comedy duo. He says, yeah, we'd love to sit in. I said, what do you want to play? He goes, I'll do sound. And the other one said, I'll do lights. And that's what they did. They did sound and lights for us all night. They didn't play a lick of music.
What a couple of,
yeah.
But they're still great, by the way.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, me too.
I've got a picture of Rick in Calgary. I went to see them at that casino that you guys have probably done. And he's holding my book, but he's holding it upside down. So, great guys. Great sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
fantastic.
Jerry Mosby speaking of him, he wants to know what happened to your Beethoven bust.
You know what? I'll show it to you later.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
It's downstairs. When we moved here, all I had left was the head, right? Just because it got busted. Rim shot. And anyway, I left the head sitting out in the backyard about the first 5 years we were here. And so it was just decrepitly, he was decomposing, as the old joke goes. And then I wound up bringing him back in the house. So you'll see him a bit later.
Yeah, good. Speaking of that book that you've got and my book, have you ever given any thought to writing your story, your memoirs?
This is it, Daddy.
You got way more than that to talk about, man.
We grew up in Scarborough. That's a lot of people's story if you think about it.
Yes. We're
It's been mentioned to me a good number of times. I do have a lot of stories. Maybe I don't know. I still like kind of when the writing itch turns on, it goes to wanting to write a song. It still does that. But I have a few years ago when Facebook first started up, there were a couple of my classmates from back in the 60s in grade school that I was in touch with, and I'd write some little stories to them that they could relate to. And that did get me kind of tweaked on it, but then it dissipated. But maybe I'll come back to it. You never know. And reading your book does help to inspire that
Actually, that photograph on the back was leaving a club in New York called The Box, where we saw this triple X-rated circus show. And this 7-foot transvestite threw what I thought was a snowball, but it was in actual fact icing sugar, and splattered. I'm wearing a suit, and this thing exploded when it hit me.
Man, you really take it hard after gigs, don't you?
I don't know. I've got that kind of face that people just want to punch. I
don't know. Yeah. Well, keep it up, Daddy.
Off the top of the show, we played a snippet from the New Sticks single, The Crash of the Crown. And I got to tell you, man, it is spectacular. I'm not just saying this. Actually, I am just saying this. It's spectacular.
I know you. Say it anyway.
You're the guest. I got to be nice. Yeah. But it's a spectacular song. Could you tell the people a little bit about it?
Sure. We wanted to, on this record, I'm really proud of this record. One of the goals we had for this album was to try and not dwell on one place too long, like a progressive rock record. I love prog. And a little bit like side 2 of Abbey Road, because everyone's trying to write that kind of thing, at some point in their life. And it's difficult, very difficult to do. So hang on. It says this meeting has been upgraded by the host. Oh, upgraded. We got an upgrade.
That's right.
Going up to first class.
There you go. You get free peanuts now.
Excellent. So this song, the opening riff, I heard Tommy playing it in the dressing room for a number of years. And, it's in... it's in 5/4 thing, so it's a little difficult to come up. But one night, the melody of "See the waypoint on that distant blue horizon on the ocean," that melody came into my head over that riff. But I realized it's too low for me to sing, so I thought maybe JY could sing this part. This is how I love how a band. This is what's contrasts so great with a solo career. In a band, one guy's got a riff. I had that melody in my head and those lyrics, but JY's voice was the right one to sing it. So that gets the beginning of it going, but at that point, we don't know where in the song that's going to be. Then the middle of the song emerged because I was playing this new Oberheim synth, and this almost disco-type beat came in. And we just started riffing on that, and then a little bit of the Elton vibe came in because the piano parts were there. And on my phone, which is great about these phones, I had this piano section that as soon as you hear guitars do that, now suddenly you've got that orchestrated Queen-ish thing to it. And then Tommy begins to pull the song, as he will, towards something that's, I'm trying to pull it into the darkness and he's trying to pull it into the light. So the Crash of the Crown was basically the idea that suddenly we were onto a lyrical theme where it was about renewal after a cataclysmic event. Does that sound familiar? Anyway, and then he had that beautiful tag at the end, and as we were doing that whole section where it goes from the da na 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 na, and as we were recording it, I sang it a number of times, and then our producer Willie Vankovich said, "Do your Freddie Mercury impression." And I thought that kind of works with these lyrics and everything, that uplifting feeling of Freddie. So I was kind of trying a little bit of that. By the time we finished it, we realized this is kind of the goal. We never went to the same bit twice. It's not like a song that's got a repeating chorus. So it's more like a progressive rock piece, and yet it's really poppy elements that go all the way through, which to my mind makes it sticks. So that's from my angle of the movie. That's how the song came together. So
is it like we talk about a new release, and we know what the state of the business is? Where do people find the song?
Oh, so all those things you can find songs on
Spotify.
First of all, it's available on vinyl. That's number one.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well,
it can be on clear vinyl or on black vinyl, and it's beautiful artwork. Todd Galapo at Universal did the artwork, and it's just stunning. The images he put together, and how I love how he had the title "Crash of the Crown," but did not do any literal translation of that. Instead, it was, as I described it, it looked like a renewal moment after what I would call a cataclysmic or life-changing event.
You can't see this, but we've had the artwork up on the screen while you're talking, so everybody can see it. This is the magic of editing,
This is a professional show, as I would expect.
When it's working,
yeah. So, so it's available there, but obviously it's on the Spotify and the iTunes and the YouTube and your friend send it to you on a text. It's available in all those
Yeah,
ways.
great. Well, is that going to be the precursor to a full album?
Oh yeah. The full album comes out June 18th. And what's significant about that day to you and I?
June, our anniversary?
Oh, you're so close. There's a left-handed bass player was born on that day.
Ah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. You know, that's funny because you were at the same show the night I met him. Do you remember we hooked up upstairs at the Hard Rock?
Yep.
And Christopher Ward was there. And the three of us had a drink after the show. And I was telling you guys about how I got to go backstage and hang out with him for a half an hour.
Yeah.
And
jealous.
Christopher had they just released Black Velvet. And I'd heard it. And I said to him, I said, "You're going to be rich." And he went, "Yeah, I know." And the bugger went and got rich, you know. But a little addendum to that story. When I left that night, there was a huge snowstorm. And we pulled out onto Yonge Street. And I'd had a couple of drinks. And the girl I was with, I said, "We're getting stopped by a ride program. You better call your father, who's a lawyer, because I'm about to go to jail." And the cop comes over, the woman cop, and she says, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "I met Paul McCartney today." She goes, "No way." I said, "Look, here's his autograph." She yells out, "This guy met Paul McCartney tonight." And all the other cops left their cars and came over to talk to me. And then I said, "So do you still want to see me?" She goes, "No, you have a great night." I went, "Thank you, God." You know.
That is what. That's I don't think you've ever told me not that way. I knew you met him that night, and I was definitely jealous. I mean, that's way to go.
Well,
was it good?
Well, it was incredible. What was I talking to you? I mean, you know, he's such a big part of our lives that it was like seeing, you know, you've met Ringo. I mean, it's like seeing somebody that's in your family, you know?
It's exactly like that.
Yeah. And when we went outside, a scalper said to me, "What kind of seats have you got?" And I said, "Oh, I'm in the back row." He says, "Give me your tickets." We go in and we're sitting in the second row right in front of McCartney's microphone. So when the lights went up, he looks down and he goes, "Hey, Greg," like this, and give me a thumbs up. And I started crying like a little girl.
I can imagine. Wow, that's phenomenal. I've told this story only once before, but would you like to hear about my almost meeting Paul McCartney?
Yes, almost counts.
It's a pretty good story. And you know what? It's making me want to write one of these.
Here you go.
Our drummer Todd Suckerman's wife, Taylor Mills, she sings with Brian Wilson. And Todd played with Brian Wilson for a while in the 90s as well, in the late 90s, as he was coming into Styx. So around 2004, I'll say, maybe 2003, Paul McCartney and Brian Wilson, who I'd recorded with, because Brian Wilson came on our album and sang with us on an album we did called Cyclorama, they were doing a benefit in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Hilton Hotel, Beverly Hills Hilton, I think it's called. And so Taylor, who's got tons of pictures with Paul, because the two of them were performing that night, there was only 300 guests invited, and we were there. So to see him in a room with 300 people, and I was about as close to his piano as I am to that one, so I got that. But prior to that, when he arrived, there was a red carpety thing, and he's answering the questions, etc., and I'm seeing him. Taylor comes out, and she says, "I'm going to introduce you to Paul right now." So he finishes talking, he comes walking down, there's a ton of people, and he's coming by, and he sees Taylor, and I'm standing right by her, and he goes, "Oh, hi, Taylor," and she says, "Hi, Paul. Paul, this is my friend I was telling you about. He plays in Styx," and she starts to say my name, and he goes, "Oh, hello," and he puts his hand out to shake my hand, and Mickey Rooney walked right in between us. I swear to God, he walked right in between us, and my hand went into his back. And Paul's hand went into his front. And at that very moment, I was like, on any other day, I would love to meet Mickey Rooney.
Except that day.
Except at this very second. And of course, in that moment, he looks up and goes, "Hey, you Paul, how you doing?" Right? And he goes, "Oh, hi, Mickey." and that broke the moment because he immediately went, where are we supposed to go in? Is it over here? Right? And he looks over this way, and Taylor's like, turns to me and goes, don't worry, you'll meet him later. And I went, this goes to prove it's always the little things in life that get in the way.
It's funny. I found, before we went into his dressing room, I found the program lying on the floor. And I opened it up, and there was a picture of him holding his bass like this, and he's tuning it, right?
I remember that picture.
So I said, would you mind signing this? And he goes, well, that's an old picture, that's me tuning me bass. I mean, he's so Paul McCartney.
Oh, yeah.
So you came that close to meeting Paul, but you recorded Strange Animal at, what's it called? Startling Sound, which was Tittenhurst Estate, which was John Lennon's original house.
Correct.
But now Ringo owns it, and you end up recording. And right now we have a picture of you sitting in a room holding a Ludwig the Beatles drum head, you, rotten guy, you.
Yeah,
what happened there? So
the name of the estate is Tittenhurst Park. It's where John Lennon recorded the Imagine album.
Right.
The entire album there. When the movie of that came out in 1988 and I went and saw the movie, it was the most bizarre, beautiful experience because I saw him singing on all the same mics that were there, the same gear was there, the same piano was there. It was astounding. Okay, when I saw the film to realize that was that. But the way it happened was Ringo apparently was living in America I believe in the late 70s, something like that. In the late 70s, he was living in America and was going to move back to England. When John decided to move to America, somehow Ringo got that house, and he was living there. But he'd moved. Was still in America, but he came back to England in, I believe, 82 or 83, something like that. And the studio was being used, but it needed kind of upgrade. It needed to be brought back up because it had sat dormant for a little while. And the guy that produced the album, David Tickle, was part of restoring the studio, as I understand it. And David was doing sound for Peter Gabriel. He heard my demo tape, played it for Gabriel's band. That's how they got involved. And he said, would you mind coming to England? I'm working on a studio here, kind of bringing it back to life. And it's in Ringo Starr's home. And I took that phone call in the basement of my parents' Scarborough home, which is about 5 miles from where I am right now. And I wound up walking in the door on February the 7th, 1984. And that's so significant because it was February the 7th, 1964, that the Beatles came to America, to North America. So Ringo actually came to the door, the studio door, answered it, put his hand out, shook hands, no Mickey Rooney, shook hands and he said, welcome, have a great session. And he was in that era of his life where he was only, I think, 44 years old at the time, 43 or 44. So he still looked very much the Beatle that he was, and he still does, actually. He looks amazing.
He looks just like Ringo Starr.
Yeah, but this was like an amazing moment. The great thing is this, Greg. I had kind of told myself, you're at his house. Don't freak out. Don't fan out on him. This is really unusual for me. And instead, I just said, it's great to be here. Thanks for letting us do this. And then over the next really 6 months, about 5.5, nearly 6 months, I would be there every day. We started around 11 a.m. We had to stop at 8 p.m. because he wanted the house quiet. The studio is adjacent to the house where the kitchen door is about where that door is right there.
Right.
So he would hear us having conversations. He'd come in and comment on the record. At one point, I remember him coming in one night. He said, we'd used something we did. Oh, I know what it was. We used what we called the temple, where you got a picture of me standing in front of that door they used from the Hey Jude album cover. We used that. He said, it's okay, I'm just going to add that to the bill. And I think I said something to him like, what bill? Or something, some smart ass thing. And he put me in a headlock. And I thought, oh, this is great. don't fight back. Just stay in the headlock. You're in a hard day's night right now.
Jesus, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he couldn't have been more friendly and just great, and he would come in maybe every 3 or 4 days. One more little bit of that. He came in one week. This is how amazing it was. He came in one day about a Friday and on a Thursday, and he said, "I need the studio this weekend." And I said, "I'm going to do it's like a voiceover thing." I said, "Sure, it's your house." And so I went to Ireland for that weekend. When I came back after the weekend, there was a big text on the console, about this big, that said Thomas the Tank Engine on it.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's, I guess, what he was reading for at the time. And I think I was there from my camera angle, at a pivotal moment, because from that point on, it was not long after that he put together the all-star band and went out and started to play again and found that second act that third act, because he was successful as a solo artist in the 70s. But I think he was looking for, what do I do next that's relevant in a way. And so that TV show, I think, led to him doing the all-star band, which has been such a phenomenal thing to see.
He was recording Thomas the Tank Engine up at a studio in Scarborough, because a neighbor, a neighbor of mine was driving him around and said, "Come on down to the studio." And I took my daughter, who was about 3 years old at the time. I figured this is a sure way of getting in. And Barbara Bach, his wife, came out, and she was going, "Oh God, look at how cute she is." And I said, "Oh, hi, we were hoping, to meet your fan." And the next thing I know, this assistant, Barbara disappears. Assistant comes out and she goes, "I want that guy removed now." So we never got to meet him that day. I got something signed, but the wife was all for it. I mean, lovely, yes, that would be great. But of course, a couple of years ago, Steve Lukather, my dear friend, he's been playing with Ringo for ages. He's writing songs with him now. He said, "Do you want to come up? We're rehearsing at Casino Rama and hang around." I said, I was there before he put the phone down. I mean, I was like, I went up to Rama, and Todd Rundgren was in the band, and Jake Rivera from Billy Joel's band, and I'm having dinner with these guys. And the final night before the show, Luke says, "Do you want to meet the boss?" And I went, "What, Springsteen's here?" And he starts laughing. He says, "No, it's what we call Ringo." So he says, "You haven't asked, but tomorrow night, come before the show, and I'm going to take you back and meet him." So an assistant comes out, and he says, he doesn't sign autographs, no pictures. I said, "I just want to shake the cat's hand, man." He goes, "That's not going to happen." He just bumps forearms. And right at that minute, Ringo walks in. He goes, "I don't shake hands. I just bump forearms." I said, "That's exactly what he said you would do." So he started laughing. And eventually Ringo said, "Would you like a picture taken?" And it's in the book,
So I know that the autograph thing has been an irritant to him. And I actually, I've never told this one before, but he became so easily friendly coming in the studio when we were recording. About the last week I was there, I had my CP70 Yamaha piano that we flew all the way to England for that record, and same piano I played in Rhinegold, by the way, on the Gasworks stage many times. So the piano's sitting there, and I said, "I'm going to leave this magic." Mike O'Donnell was the name of his assistant. I said, "I'm going to leave this pen. If Ringo comes in," they all called him Rich, but if Ringo comes in, if you want to sign my piano, I would love that. He said, "No problem, he'll do it." He goes, "But if I ask him that, you'll never see him again." And I went, "Oh, why?" He said, "The reason that he's been so friendly and so coming in and feels so relaxed is you haven't asked him for anything." And I began to realize, you see, he's been asked for something every day of his life. He's never walked out in public.
Yeah.
And whereas if someone asks for my autograph, I'm very happy to give it to them. It's not a big deal. But for him, it's like it breaks the reality of the moment.
Yeah.
So I took the pen away and I said, "No, it's far more valuable to me to just have this experience and not necessarily go away with any memento like that."
You know this from personal experience, as do I. You can see when people come up to you after a show, or if they recognize you in a restaurant or something, how nervous they are. And what I found with the two Beatles that I met, they are such experts at disarming the situation where, like I said, I talked to McCartney for a half an hour. I never mentioned the Beatles once. We talked about baseball and we talked about our kids. And I said, I noticed your boy's here tonight. He's playing video games. I said, I was going to bring my son. He's the same age. And he went, that would have been great. James could have used him, mate. And I'm thinking, what a missed opportunity this is, But we just, and the same with Ringo. I just talked to him about, in general,
Yeah.
And they like that,
I think they really crave that in their lives. It's pretty phenomenal that what down to earth people or how they could set you at ease.
Yes.
Very, very easily. And so, I guess you have tried to emulate that, and I have as well. I feel like I know what it is to go up to someone and be really nervous.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know what that is.
We've done it ourselves, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to put them at their ease, and so that's great. So you've had two Beatles. Amazing.
Yeah. I have a really bad joke about meeting the other two, but I'll leave that for off camera. Actually.
Okay.
So I'm going to put the picture back. The picture's back up now of you sitting in that room, and you're holding the Beatles drum head, and it's a Rickenbacker. What happened there?
I asked Mike. We had been out in what we called the temple, whatever it was, an art gallery or something, because we recorded Jerry Marotta's drums out there. That's why the drums have that amazing sound on Strange Animal. Well, that, and it's Jerry Marotta playing.
That too.
And, by the way, in that room where Jerry's drums were done, Ringo had, I'm really fanning out today, all the suits that you ever saw in any Beatle thing, from the collarless thing to the thing he wore in Hello Goodbye, they were all on a clothing rack in that room, like crammed. You just recognize everything. All his kits of drums were stacked up, everything from that original Ludwig kit, all of them. Lots of gold platinum records. Just amazing how the artifacts that were lying around. I asked Mike, where's the Beatle drum head? Like I figured, in my mind, I'll go when I get to his house, his kit will be set up with the Beatle drum head on and spotlights on it, right? That's not how it works in real life. And Mike goes, hang on, I'll ask him. He opens the kitchen door. He goes, Rich, the drum head, the Beatle drum head, where is it? And I hear Ringo go, I think it's in the front closet. So Mike goes, come here. I walk out, we walk through the house. Hi, through the kitchen, front closet, behind all the shoes that were piled up in there, etc. He reaches in and pulls the thing out, exactly like you would store a Gatto drum head. That's exactly. It's just the band that he was in.
Yeah.
And when he pulled it out, he hands it to me. I said, "Can I take a picture with you?" He goes, "Sure." And we go back into the studio. He's got one of John's old Rickenbackers. Could have been George's, I don't know, but that was there. So I grabbed that, and we set up for that photo. And when I looked at the drum head up close, I could see, I wish I had a great camera to get close to this. There was the pencil etching around the logo of the original logo that was going to be used by the band.
Oh, wow.
Something similar to that silver Beatles one where they had the little antenna. Yes. But it was a different font, a different style. And then you could see where he'd erased it with just an eraser.
Yeah.
But of course, the bit of the lead is still there. And then you see the logo that the world saw for the first time. You see that there emerge. And when I got the anthology record, I thought, this is the story of every band. This is every band's story, except for the one difference is that they turned out to be the Beatles. And it's just how every little thing is difficult until the picture's just right. And then the public it just makes sense to everyone. And that drumhead to me was a metaphor for that.
Well, let's take a few minutes and
you want to go downstairs?
Yeah, you go and we'll meet you back here after the song.
From our conversation, and I kind of knew it was going to go this way. If you use that Ragini thing, that Raga?
Yeah, I just happen to have it.
There it is. I thought that was a toaster. Play it. Right on.
Okay, take it away.
All right. You ready? The song's called Moonchild Psychedelic Holiday.
Perfect.
All right,
I'll
see you in
get
a
the
minute.
Ragini going.
And this is it. Come on in. Okay, over here, Greg. This is the bomb shelter, as I call it. For this song, we've got the lava lamp going, of course. Check it out. And this is some of Jan's handiwork. This is the Moonchild guitar. And I think we're pretty well ready to go. You ready, Dylan? All right. And we do this. And get rid of that. Turn that on. Oh yeah. That feels good. All set. Moonchild, psychedelic holiday. Way back in '69, Moonchild was there with her open mind. She still lives by echoes of all that generation. To the past she sees how wonderful everything could be. When Moonchild sits with her love beats on, and she talks her way through another 60s song. Free love, peace symbols, purple haze, carry her away on a psychedelic holiday. Musical legends played. Everyone trips on the sounds they made when dancing along in a heavy love explosion. Love was everywhere. Incense filled the air. George Harrison is gonna take her there. Oh, Moonchild sits with her love beats on, and she talks her way through another 60s song. Free love, peace symbols, purple haze, carry her away on a psychedelic holiday. Scarborough. Okay. Through a telescope to the past she sees how wonderful everything could be. When Moonchild sits with her love beats on, and she talks her way through another 60s song. Free love, peace symbols, purple haze, carry her away on a psychedelic holiday. All right. Ooh. Ragini. Keep the Ragini going there, Greg. All right, I'll see you back upstairs in a few minutes. Dylan, nice job. All right, man. Take the rest of the day off. Okay, guys. I'll see you in a few minutes.